What is up, homies? Welcome back to another episode of the CzechXicans podcast here on Heroes Reforged. This is like our the penultimate episode of the year.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
What are we talking about today, guys?
Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? We're just going to do karaoke this episode.
Ooh,
Dude,
okay.
we should do karaoke one time.
Let us know in the comments below what song you want us to sing.
Yeah.
This is not
List the
live.
song.
That's not going to work.
No.
All we'd have to literally do is just put that TV over there.
Yeah.
And we can do
I mean,
karaoke.
we could do a karaoke holiday special.
Karaoke.
Yeah, so second to last episode of the year.
Karaoke should be in the dark, away from cameras, and secretive, and shameful, and drunk, and not shared for internet, because that shit will live forever.
I have one of those that I will never share. I've shown it to you guys a few times, but
one?
it was in our
From
prog
Germany?
trip. Yeah, it was when we went to Germany.
Yeah.
I showed it
remember
to
that
you guys,
karaoke.
and I was like, "This is never gonna see the light of day."
Womp,
so.
womp, womp.
Sorry, y'all. You were teased. You weren't there. Too
Did
bad.
you put it in the shared folder?
No, it's not in the shirt
Oh,
folder.
damn.
Yeah, that one ain't coming out. That one's in the
Oopsie.
vault. That one's in the vault. That one ain't coming out.
Disney Vault.
Yeah, so it's the penultimate episode. We're gonna talk about a few things. A lot has happened since the last episode, and then we'll do one more before the holidays at the end of the year.
And we have viewer questions from our Patreon.
That's right.
So thank you to everybody who submitted a question.
That's right.
So who's gonna start karaoke then?
Hector?
Don't you
It's from Rose.
remember you told me you love me, baby? No. Okay, so this is the Thanksgiving episode. Thanksgiving episode, guys.
Yeah.
Let's give thanks for one thing this year. Doesn't have to be channel related.
Oh, man.
Doesn't have to be anything.
I give thanks to my impeccable balance. What you think about that? Yeah. I give thanks to...
Is that your superpower?
Very good you are, yes.
I will give thanks
Ready for the trials, are you?
to... I'm going to give thanks to Andor. I'm going to steal that one. I'm going to steal that one. I'm going to give thanks to Diego Luna and Tony Gilroy and the team of Andor, because they surprised us this year. That was a trick and a treat. That was, and every week I've been thinking about the story and the meaning and it is inspiring. So I'm gonna be thankful for Andor. I took that. I went first. You got this. You got this. The fish man.
And that's
trying to tell you.
That's all you got.
This.
Dang. All right. Not like your cats.
No, I was purposefully being like, I'm gonna do this theme of like pop culture things.
Pop culture related. Okay. I could do that too.
I'm not trying to get too real.
I ain't trying to get too real. This year was rough, y'all. What do I give thanks for? I give thanks. I feel like this year was kind of like a test of how much we could do. And like we did a lot of shit. So I give thanks to people watching, obviously.
Fuck you.
But also,
mine.
no. But that's not my real one. I give thanks to Adam for pulling so much weight.
See, you guys
on
are still
this
making it
fucking
real.
Because
I'm a dick. Because I didn't say friendship or love.
But
Hey, man, everyone's got their
viewers,
own thing.
the community.
To go back.
Yeah.
To the people at Amazon who continued to create the show they wanted to create Lord of the Rings.
There you go.
Given that huge mega backlash I feel like that show was the most hated show.
Yeah.
Like
hate
with
watch.
no reason. Most hate watch show of the year.
Yes, with no reason.
Yeah.
With no reason whatsoever.
I've seen such worse shows.
I followed all of the creators, all the writers and stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, they're great.
And they're all great people. And just like watching their tweets, I'm like, man, I feel so bad for these guys. Like they're all literally putting their hearts out. They're like, hey, we're just trying to make a good show, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, watch it first, please.
Yeah.
And these people just came out, but I feel like the show was successful. I enjoyed the show. I can't wait for the next season. I can't wait to see what else comes from it. Like, I have a feeling that this is going to spawn a whole other slew of Lord of the Rings content. And so I'm just like, that for me is I think it's a big one, media wise. And I for me, it was kind of like a sink or swim moment. That was like testing my Lord of the Rings fandom. Like, am I a real fan?
Yeah.
Am I a real fan? Like, and what does it mean to be a real fan at that point? Because this is a franchise that came in with all the hate that people who watch Star Wars watch, with like the years, with like the years of like of waiting for this franchise to either be expanded on or like something else to come out, which we didn't know was going to happen for a while. So it was a very interesting spot to be in. But yeah, thank you to all the creators of the Lord of the Rings show. I appreciate you. And cheers to season 2. Baby.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah,
Clink,
dude.
clink, clank.
Power.
Clink, clink, clank.
I know what Adam's going to say.
What?
I have it in my head. I know.
Let's say it at the same time. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2. His
3.
DMs.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's
a good one.
Dang.
Jamie Lee Curtis in his DMs.
And Jamie Lee Curtis in his DMs.
How'd you know?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to tell anybody, bro. Damn, I have so many things that I'm thankful for. I got to pick one.
Yeah.
One thing.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you could do multiple. I said 3.
Yeah,
that's true.
I said the fans,
also
you, and the show.
Came up with another one as you were talking.
You can say it after Adam.
One.
Yeah,
I got one.
For sure, thankful for these guys for putting in all the hours to record all this stuff because it is a lot. And it's been 3 to 4 days a week, almost every single week for the last, especially in the second half of the year, we've been recording a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The second half was rough.
And I think a lot of people on YouTube maybe don't realize that.
You better enjoy it.
You can quit if you want.
You better like Willow.
I think that's the hard part is a lot of people on YouTube don't necessarily know that we make that much stuff on Patreon because we see it in the analytics that people skip the first 90 seconds of our video and they're like, hey, when are you guys going to react to Superman Lois season 2? And we're like, we've been. Where you been?
We've been, bro.
We've been
it's there.
there.
Oh, I know
there,
what you're going to say you're thankful for. I know.
What else am I thankful for? I mean, I'm thankful for my family for constantly being supportive because I this year especially I haven't made it home as many times, and as much as sometimes they're like give me a little bit of grief for it.
They get it.
Every time I do go home, they're very excited to hang out and do stuff.
They get it. I mean, your grandma always leaves us messages that I translate, and they're always so nice and positive because she writes them in Czech.
Right.
And so I have to, use the translate function. And they're always just so like, I never grew up with grandparents. They all passed before I got to know them. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is what it's like to have grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. She always asks about, how is your YouTube show? I'm like, it's great, Grandma. I got to send you the link so you can watch it. Okay. Send me link, please. She's not Russian. I don't know why I made that accent.
Send me link.
Send me link, please.
Send me
Mother
the
Russia.
links.
I hit my head. I'm Russian now. What? Grandma, no.
Came out of a coma. I'm Russian.
Yeah, exactly. What was the other thing? Oh, obviously the viewers, all of you guys who've been watching our channel. We're
Stop making me look like an asshole.
We're
Hector,
1,500 away for
a
less than
fake thing.
1,500 away from 100,000 subscribers.
But we're also not thankful to the 1,500 of you who waited so long.
Fuck are you?
To subscribe?
It's okay. I think
Not thankful.
real talk. I think that the stuff that we're dropping in the last month on YouTube, and I don't know if you want to announce it or keep it a secret, but I think that stuff is literally going to get us over. Like I think people are going to find us who had not seen us before and actually subscribe.
You mean like some holiday treats that we have?
Maybe some new-ish stuff that is not like an ongoing series of like we're watching this show and this show and this show and we're committed, but like we're putting some new little treats,
little ditties together. Yeah, we'll wait.
Little toys and treats.
We'll keep them.
So yeah, of course the audience, because without the audience we wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. And then the last thing. Superman flying over property.
That's what I thought.
Come on.
I thought you were going to say like David Gordon Green or Jamie Lee Curtis or Michael Myers.
Yeah.
The character.
Always grateful.
I mean, when are you not grateful? You spend the whole month of October being grateful to them. So that's fine. That's your own Thanksgiving.
I also want to say that I'm very grateful to Tatiana Maslany.
Version 2. All right.
Tatiana, here's my version 2.
Yeah.
Actually, my version 2 is my family, my loved ones, my girlfriend, my cats, the community, the fans,
my Plex server,
these guys, my best friend,
my Blu-ray collection,
my best friend Plex server,
my 3D TV,
then my 3D TV,
my new gaming console that plays every game in the world.
I'm very thankful that Tatiana Maslany said yes to taking on that role.
Yeah.
She was so perfect for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So funny. She got it. She made it. God, dude, the moment where she's like, when do we get X-Men? Like, I'm like, that is my favorite.
I got you, bro.
It's one of my favorite moments of the year, and it's making fun of me.
Yeah.
Like, she looked in the camera and was like, you're a dork.
She's like, I tried,
I was like, yes, please, more.
Dumb. She was an idiot.
Yeah. So funny. So I'm thankful that she said yeah. And that whole, similar to Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Or like Andor team of people who put that show together, the She-Hulk team. Dude, so thankful that they, in my opinion, they nailed it. They really nailed that.
I got
character.
another one.
Go.
Yeah, me too. You're probably going to say the same thing I am.
Ryan Coogler.
Oh, yeah.
For adding Tenoch Huerta.
Did not need to do that.
Did not need to do that. Did not need to include us in the conversation at his table of kings and queens and Wakandans and beautiful people to add more beautiful people to it.
That's
I think
a good
it's,
one.
I think
You got another one? Go.
one.
What else?
I was going to
Michael
say
Myers, of course. For murdering that dude.
Greatest of all time, Michael Myers.
I won't name people, but the creators who have reached out to us.
Oh my
throughout
God.
the year.
They don't watch this show. I know they watch our reactions.
No, they don't.
They don't watch this show, but yes, you're right. You're right.
But all the creators who've worked on all these shows that we've been watching throughout the year and have slid to our DMs.
I got another one, by the way.
Really?
I got another one. I was into. I was at a convention this past weekend. A guy came up to me, recognized me without my mask, and he goes, "Hey, I just want to say hi." He worked on some DC Universe shows like Swamp Thing and Titans.
Oh, nice.
And then was like, been loving your guys' stuff on Andor, and was saying like from like that post-production standpoint, he was like, I remember you guys were saying stuff that was like really spot on to what we were doing, and you guys didn't have any insider knowledge as to
of course not.
to be able to pick up on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And he was a Latino, so he was so stoked to say what's up. So that was awesome.
Can we bleep out his name? Can we bleep out his name, Adam?
I'll tell you guys who it is later. But super nice guy, and it just like a great in the same way that you're talking about the folks who are working on various things, and then they hit us up secretively, usually to be like, hey, we really like your videos. They're great. We sent them to such and such and so and so. And your graphic, Captain America Fucks.
Oh yeah,
Captain America.
That's public, so we know
that's
that.
a public one. Yeah.
So now Kevin Feige hopefully knows us. So
Hopefully Kevin has.
What's up, Kev Dog?
Hopefully Kevin has seen it and gone, oh, why did I say yes to that? Why did I let them do that joke?
Fucking joke.
Gross.
Bane of my existence.
yeah, because I mean, we would never expect that from anybody working on these shows because they're busy working on those shows,
right?
And it has been. We've had people from these various companies and things reach out, or if we see them at a con, they can be like, "Hey, watch your stuff; it's great." But to get that so consistently this year was a really big surprise, and I guess it just feels good because sometimes even we struggle to stay up till midnight. Like, all right, we're gonna watch this.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta nap or figure something out, and it's a process to get those videos done as fast as we try to get them done. So it's not. It feels it's a little bit. It's like a reward.
It is a reward. It is very much a reward.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I agree, and it's it's that validation that obviously we get it from you, the fans, and I think the fans really kind of pick up on that. We were talking with our buddy Fuzz last night. We went out to dinner, and he's like, I watch your stuff, and I don't understand how you pick up on stuff that was supposed to be there that's not there. So so there was stuff cut from Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness that he was like, we didn't talk about this, but you guys knew there was something going on in the scene, and I'm just like, oh, and we were. It wasn't even like we were forcing the conversation. It was just part of our normal review.
Sure.
And so he was like, and that's why I'm dying to talk to you guys because you get it, you understand, and you picked up on it, which is great. So. It's very much validation that we're on the right track, and that basically we need to just create a movie studio, and
let's do it. HR,
and we will blow Marvel out of the water.
Yeah,
and
CzechXicans Studios.
We'll.
I like that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because we call it HR. That's human resources. That's
that's boring. That's very boring stuff.
Boring.
Any more thanks to give around here?
I want to give thanks to Kevin Conroy.
Oh yeah,
for being
literally
Kevin
Conroy.
The greatest Batman ever.
Wow. I'm legitimately I'm thankful that I got to meet him.
Yeah,
that was a.
Can you talk about your experience a little bit?
Yeah, man.
We're gonna need more beer.
As he chucks the thing, throws it back.
One thing that made me really, really sad about it is that I was like, man, I know so many people who haven't had a chance to meet him.
This guy.
That's the thing that made me so sad because I'm like, he was so nice and so thrilled that that character meant so much to people, that his work was like very impactful and affecting, and and my experience was that I got to, like, I wouldn't be here if it literally were not for Kevin Conroy voicing Batman in the
Helping
90s. And but not just that, but just me being inspired by
I see.
Batman animated
Dude, that was
series.
appointment viewing for us.
Yeah.
It was it's awesome. And I was, as a kid, I was still a Spider-Man kid, but Batman was the show.
Yeah.
I still like the X-Men, but Batman was the show. And great voice cast in those other shows happening at the same time. And it's just that Batman show just it holds up to a degree that is like so impressive because of how much work they put into it back then.
Yeah.
But we used to work at an acting agency years ago, and the reason I got the job is because in my cover letter I said, I am a massive fan of one of your clients. Like I was going to apply to this job, and then I found out in doing research that one of their clients was Kevin Conroy. I wasn't like trying to get there to meet him and be a psychopath, but I was like,
stalker.
I said, hey, this is how I feel about one of your clients, Kevin, and his work and what he did years ago when I was a kid, and that I will read a comic book to this day, and it's Kevin's voice, and just that passion helped them see me as like, oh, you're really into cartoons and video games and anime, and you watch that stuff, so maybe you should work here and you can bring some of that. And then I got to work there, and then I got to meet him, and he was so nice and so kind. I got to help him at a convention one weekend.
Yeah.
Like I flew to Salt Lake City. My boss was like, hey, he needs a helper. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I want to go. And
that's crazy that he wouldn't just like have somebody that's like there.
I'm sure they did, but it was like, I guess the convention was maybe offering to like, and for if Kevin wants to bring a guest or a helper or whatever, and and I basically went there and worked for free. Yeah. But then Kevin paid me cash money at the end of the table. He's like, here you go. And I was like,
that's where you got your $8 million from.
$8 million, baby. Yeah. But like, he didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
that was not. And more importantly than that, I just got to see how he interacted with fans. And that thing where like so many people came up and kind of were saying the same thing, but it's all true.
Right.
You're so important in my childhood. You inspired me so much. Like, I think I'm a good person because of the type of stuff that you did. And like, Batman got me through a tough time. And like, anytime I read a comic book, I hear Batman's voice. It's all this stuff that felt like it was me or you talking to Kevin. And he was so kind to each individual person. And then I got to, so I worked with him there, and he was so nice. And then I remember in the middle of the day, we went and got lunch, I think both days, like in their little green room, and it's like Michael Rosenbaum was there. Yeah. So him and Kevin Conroy were catching up, and I was just like nearby, and he like
lost my shit.
He like quickly introduced me to Michael Rosenbaum, and then they were talking about, I think they were talking about the actor who plays Lionel Luthor,
John Glover.
Because Kevin Conroy is also friends with John Glover.
Yeah, because he did the voice of Riddler in Batman.
So they were
plays Lionel. Yeah.
So they were talking about that.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and it was amazing, and he was so great, and he let me take a picture with him because I'm like, Kevin, please, I have to take one picture with you. And let me do it here in this green room.
Absolutely not.
He said, absolutely not.
He said, of course,
in the jolliest voice ever.
Of course. And then just kind of keeping that very friendly working relationship. And then I left that job, but then I started doing stuff for like DC, and then he would come by. And I remember one time I saw him on the set, and I was ready to reintroduce myself. I was ready to be like, hey, Kevin, I don't know if but he immediately was like, Hector, hi. And I was just like,
wow, that's incredible.
That is like, it's indescribable to be like, what? You were nice enough to remember?
You meet 1,000 people a day.
And you mean so much to me.
Right.
And you were nice enough to be like, yeah, I remember you. And, I was like, yeah, how's my boss at the agency? And he's like, oh, she's great. And this and this. But and then like in that same kind of space, I got to meet like Will Friedle, who plays Terry McGinnis. Yeah. And I really talked to him about like, dude, Batman Beyond, that was another huge thing. But that was also Kevin. Yeah. And we would geek out about how amazing it was to for him to come in, and it's like, it's Kevin playing the Batman, and you're still a part of that world. And it's like, it's so sad because people aren't going to get to be able to meet him. It's like when Stan Lee passed away.
Of course, he's an icon. Yeah,
an icon, and it's just the impact that those types of figures in that world kept giving to little kids. There's a little kid right now who's just starting to watch that show, and they're like, they're going to be into it, and that's going to be their Batman.
Yeah.
But I mean, I cannot say enough nice things about him.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say enough, like, I don't know. If I get too much into it, I can make myself cry.
I know. I see it bubbling up right now, bro.
About it, because it's
bubbling up.
But I think we talked about it. I can't remember where we were talking about it. Where were we talking about it? Just like maybe on
Discord, maybe.
Yeah, it was just scheduled.
Just chatting before
like
we were about
didn't
to film
have
something?
a lot of conversation about it when it happened, because it just feels weird to have these kind of conversations online.
And I was in a comic book convention in Dubai.
You were in Dubai at the point. Fucking baller.
But people there were like mourning.
Really?
People showed up the next day and they're like, "This is why I'm wearing black today. It's because of Kevin Conroy."
Oh, that's crazy.
Hollywood and New York actor in the United States who played Batman.
Yeah.
And
worldwide.
Literally on the opposite end of the planet. People were very affected by it.
I will say, you also got recognized on the other end of the planet as well. So that's pretty awesome.
Pretty great.
So you have a good reach, just like Kevin Conroy. Maybe not as big as Kevin Conroy, but you have a good reach out there too, which is a good thing.
Oh my gosh. I hoped in my heart of hearts that he would come back and be the voice of Batman in that project that they were doing that was like a sequel to Batman the Animated Series. Cape Crusader. Had that been announced yet? Who the Batman was going to be?
I thought it was Kevin Conroy.
I think so. I was hoping.
So I don't know if he maybe had recorded everything, or
I was hoping that they were going to do a Justice League reunion, which is the thing they kept trying to do.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Do
you know what I'm saying? It's like. Yeah, I was hoping that we would be able to get him for another 20 years.
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
I mean, we always hope that with our icons.
Of course. Of course.
Like, we hope the best, and we want the best health for them. And, you know, unfortunately, life has its ways of going around. Just Jason David Frank recently passed away. The Green Ranger, right?
Yep.
Iconic to I remember fighting other kids on the playground to try to be the Green Ranger, try to like pretend to be the Green Ranger.
Yeah.
When like you're playing Power Rangers. So like you always hope and dream, but that, you know, that's just part of life. And it's just,
and that's another case where people were sharing stories of like, he was the nicest guy to me or to my kid or to my brother, my sister at a convention, just like so nice.
He loved the fans
so much.
I mean, we interacted with him a little bit at Hyper.
Yeah,
like I interacted with him a little bit.
People may not know, but our previous channel was at Hyper RPG, and they had a Power Rangers TTRPG show, and Jason David Frank was a guest on that show multiple times throughout the iteration. So we would sometimes, well, I used to live there, but these guys would come and we would record stuff.
I would go there just to show up so I could see.
And
just because I had no business being there. It was not a day when we were filming, but I'd just be like,
but it's the Green Ranger.
It's pretty awesome.
It's Tommy Oliver.
He's there.
That's
awesome. I mean, Batman the Animated Series and Power Rangers were appointment viewing for me.
Those were back to back in the 90s.
Like literally, I would come, and I'm sure we all had this experience. We would come home from school, and the minute we get home, Batman the Animated Series was on, I think at like 4.
Right.
And I think Power Ranger, there was like something in between, and then it was, I think, Power Rangers at 5 or something like that.
Something like that.
So like those shows were appointment viewing. And to have two of the people who are like such massive parts of those legacies, pass away that closely together, it was just like,
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, people in their 30s all over the world were like, oh no. So sad.
And I remember when he was at Hyper, you know, he'd always let's take a picture, group picture. Like, and you know, sometimes you're like, why does this guy want to take pictures with everybody? And then you think about it, you're like, you know what? I'm actually like thankful for it because now I have it, you know. In the moment you don't think about it. You're like, I guess we can take a picture. But then you take it and you're like, this is actually really cool that I have this memory.
Like you have this memory of him. And I think it was a way for him to really connect with people without people feeling weird, because it's even happened to us where people feel weird coming up to us and asking for a picture.
It's such an icebreaker.
Right? Yeah, and it's just like, if you come up to people, like if we go up to our fans and say, let's take a picture, imagine how it's going to put them off guard, you know? Imagine what it's going to do for them. It's almost like the fan meetup. Like people expected to come up at like Comic-Con. People expected to come up and meet you, and it was okay to take a picture. He did that all the time. And that's why people loved him so much, because he was not only one of the biggest causes of stress as a kid with that 5-episode arc where he was the Green Ranger, and like, he first of all, he broke into a Megazord, unheard of, jumped up into a Megazord, broke into it.
That was a stressful week.
That
for
was
kids,
stressful.
It was Monday through Friday. They showed each part,
right? And so he also broke into the command center, ripped apart Alpha 5, ripped apart the whole like command center, and then who knows what was happening to Zordon. Like, I didn't know stress until Tommy Oliver took the screen.
To be totally honest, I didn't like Tommy Oliver at first.
No, of course not. Nobody did.
I mean, I know he was kind of set up as a villain, but even after that, like once he was sort of redeemed and he became part of the team, I always liked Jason.
Of course, everybody wanted to be Jason.
Yeah, everyone wanted to be Jason. I also like really like Billy, but because everyone was always made fun of him, I was like, I don't want to be recognized as that. So I'm gonna be Jason. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be the leader. And then Tommy Oliver came in and he like
psychology of 5-year-olds.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Tommy Oliver came in. He got Kimberly, and I was like, boo! I wanted to be with Jason. All these things, and then the transition happened where they switched out the actors, and then he went from the Green Dragon Zord, the Green Ranger, to the White Tiger Ranger,
to the Tiger Zord,
and he like descended like an angel, and he like landed with the dope ass gold shield,
dude.
Like crispy white armor, and I was like,
with Saba,
that's my dude.
The dagger. Oh my god, dude, that was it right there.
And then from there on, I was like, I'm Team Tommy all the way.
Yeah, it was
Turbo,
all about
all that
and
stuff.
he when he made that change over to a good guy, it's crazy how like when he was a bad guy, looking at his face, it was just like you couldn't stand it. But the moment he turned good guy, you're like, this guy is handsome. This guy's got a good head on his shoulders. It's just like, come on, man. And I like that range, that dynamic that he gave us as kids. Like it was just it was cool to pick up on stuff like that at such a young age, which I think it's good for like a little bit of media literacy, just like really kind of understanding story tropes early on,
all that
redemption
sort of things.
And like what elements in the story kind of stress you out. I think that was a really good intro for kids if they're like, you know, coming into watching movies or media or whatever. Because it was great.
I know for me, I was like 4. Yeah, I was about 5. So those were really the first things that I was consistently watching every day. So that really was what kind of taught me. I didn't know it back then, but like, storytelling. This thing leads to this thing, leads to that thing, especially that's like a 4 or 5 episode thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really teaches you like, we're really telling.
And then you couldn't wait for the next episode because you were wondering what was going to happen. Like you left off on a cliffhanger where Zordon disappears from his tube, and you're just like, no, where'd he go? What is going on? So it's cool, man, and it's unfortunate, and you know it's an unfortunate part of life, but I'm glad. I know it's kind of goofy to say, but like I'm glad that we at least got to experience it. Like we lived through it. It was an important part of our lives.
And I think that this is what I felt when Kevin passed, but I think the same is true with Jason David Frank. Is like they knew that they were loved.
Absolutely,
and that
100%
was it's a very comforting thought to know like. Okay, especially because, again, they were in shows kind of before the internet. But once the internet took off and became what it was, both Kevin Conroy has talked about, like, how surprising it was that, like, oh wow, like, these kids really loved this show and how much it affected them. And he's got great stories about learning how well liked the show was. And I'm sure that the cast of Power Rangers felt that same thing as the years went on. Like, then the internet became, like, instant feedback. So...
I mean, think about when those shows came out. There was not a lot of ways to get instant feedback on how good your show was.
Ratings wise, that was kind of it.
It was literally just the ratings boxes.
Yeah, it was ratings, and then it was. I imagine there was some sort of like feedback that they would get from people who reviewed the shows,
or maybe like a focus group.
Yeah, but from fans,
and also merchandise sales. Was the biggest.
I think you're right. I think merch back then was definitely big. People must like it if they're buying stuff.
Right.
I mean, God, I had when I lived in Europe, I had like these 8 to 12 inch figures of every Power Ranger. I had a poster on the wall. Then when I moved back to the United States, every Christmas I would get like one new Megazord. So I had like all this Super Zeo Megazord, the Zeo Megazord, the Turbo Megazord.
So you had the classic Megazord with the green. I
didn't have that.
Oh, you
Adam,
did?
You were just describing the Zords that were on the shows when we were in our 20s, bro. What are you talking about, bro?
I got the Shao remaster of MMPR. Okay.
But to go kind of off that point and kind of off topic to not be sad boys anymore, I've been rewatching the original Super Sentai, and it's actually really good.
Oh, they're awesome.
Like it's not kid centered at all.
Yeah,
it's not kid centered. Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know the demographic of,
I would say
who would watch
I would say
show.
it's probably more like 13 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Power Rangers, I feel like went like 8 to 13.
Right, right.
And then the original is like definitely skews more like young adult.
Right. So I saw like how the Power Rangers came about, and they weren't like teenagers with attitude that got chosen by Zordon.
Yeah.
They were frozen inside their capsule containers.
Perfect.
And there was this like weird little like guy who came up. He's like, we need your help. And then they were each representatives of a different tribe. That were like the lead warriors of their tribe that were frozen in these capsules that were almost like a break for emergency kind of things. Like if Rita ever comes back, you got to break these doors down and get these guys out of here. And that's what it was. And
that's
Rita
cool.
came back, and Rita would go to Earth a lot more than she does in the original show. So she would come to Earth, and
because in the show, that's all footage that you can't interact with the new actors on Earth. So
Exactly.
Rita had to stay on the moon.
She had to stay on. She couldn't interact with them.
monster grow!
Unless there were those moments where she was directly fighting with the Rangers, because there were moments where she would directly fight with the Rangers in their costumes.
That's cool.
But also, it's really funny because they didn't have a monster of the week thing. So not every week was like, this monster comes down, grows, they fight, done. Like there wasn't a transformation sequence in every episode. So like there's episodes where they're just hanging out. There's episodes where they're fighting, obviously. So it's really interesting to like see what Saban brand did to the show and was able to like cut it down and then create the show where the Green Ranger and the Red Ranger are like, I mean, the Green Ranger is like trying to kill everybody, obviously. But in the original show, the Green Ranger and the Red Ranger were siblings. And they were jealous of each other. And that's where that altercation kind of came from.
Interesting.
And
that explains why Jason and Tommy are kind of similar-ish. Like,
exactly.
Just kind of these like
brotherly.
bros and, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
so I need
cool.
to go and watch more of the show, but I really like it. Like it's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of it, but from the because sometimes they'll do comparison videos on YouTube, where you can see the original Sentai footage with how they changed it for Power Rangers or Zeo or whatever.
Yeah,
it is really cool to see.
It's pretty cool.
Like some of the fight sequences, they use sometimes that there's like a lot more wire work, or it's a much more intricate fighting.
The fight scenes are way rad, by the way, the original ones. But if we're talking a lot about it, but it's on Tubi. Like if you're ever interested in watching it, it's for free on Tubi. Go and watch it. Like go compare. If you want to fill your Power Ranger void in your heart, go and watch that show. Go and watch the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because it's really cool to watch like the changes on both. It's such a rad watch.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But no more sad boys, guys. Do we have any questions or topics or anything that we're gonna? Is there any sad news that we don't want to talk about?
I mean, how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about James Gunn and Peter Safran running DC Studios?
That's actually a really massive one.
Really
That's
cool.
a really massive
cool
one. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little early to tell. I feel as though he dropped that picture of like Mr. Terrific.
And
he did.
Lobo.
Lobo.
And
that's
Lobo,
right.
yeah.
And there was some other thing too where I think it was somebody. It was when Kevin Conroy passed, and somebody like tagged James Gunn, and he acknowledged it, and someone was like, "What is this? What does this mean?" And he was just like, "I'm just acknowledging that he was a fantastic actor, and like he passed away, and you know, not everything that he's tweeting is going to be some kind, you know,
some kind of strictly DC Studios.
He's still
some kind of hint.
He's still a human being.
He's still just like.
Here's what I like about James Gunn that I saw today. I've loved James Gunn, by the way. I think he's a fantastic choice,
and we should say disclaimer. He's a big fan. No, we should say disclaimer that we have seen our videos. We have seen the holiday special.
Oh, that's right, we have.
So before it hasn't come out yet. So don't unless by the time
they see this, it'll be
by the time they see this, it'll come out.
Yes, it'll be out. It'll be out.
Okay, wait.
This is out on Saturday. Holiday special will be out on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just fire away, brother. Fire away. Spoiler.
No, this is not a spoiler at all for the Hollywood special at all. Yeah. So somebody had tweeted. A Hollywood special?
Yeah,
holiday
special.
It is a Hollywood special.
It's a holiday in Hollywood special.
Holiday Hollywood special. Somebody tweeted, they were like, oh, Henry Cavill's contract has been renewed, blah, 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 like all this stuff. And he's like, first of all, only 2 people know about this plan of what's going to happen forward. There's been no news whatsoever of anything else. And I like the fact that he's coming out and doing that. He's always been doing that kind of thing on Twitter.
Yes.
But the fact that he is in this position of power, in this position of like, he is the Kevin Feige of this company. And he still... I don't think he knows or wants to be any other way, obviously, but he still is like, I'm still just gonna be me. This changes nothing about me.
I'm setting the record straight. Set the record straight. Yeah.
This changes nothing about me, my attitude, what I do. Like, I'm gonna be James Gunn, and I'm going to be running this company, and I'm going to be running these franchises.
Yeah.
And I love that because I've loved the projects he's been on. Like, I feel like he's been able to take projects, first of all, with the Guardians, and give them a brand new life, and give them like a really cool vibe that people were digging, right? And that was like a huge shot in the arm for Marvel when the original Guardians dropped.
He made a talking tree and a raccoon work.
Bro, he made it work so good. And the holiday special, no spoilers whatsoever. We loved it though. We thought it was great.
It's hilarious.
It's a good, perfect like Christmas movie, I think.
Yeah.
But it's also very James Gunn. Like 1,000%. Like he put as much of his personality as he could throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
Incredible. So now I feel like he is he was or is still in communication with Kevin Feige, obviously, because they work so well together. I feel like they've had whole conversations of like, what would we do? Like as homies,
maybe.
Like what would we do as homies, and how can you kind of guide me or kind of like tell me what you've learned? Because it would be absolutely stupid if James Gunn did not talk to Kevin Feige and say, what can you teach me? What should I look out for? What am I going to encounter in the future that I'm not going to
look out for?
Especially because James Gunn is an awesome writer and director.
Yeah.
So he's already the storyteller part of it. But this new position, this job,
dude,
I don't think he's ever done anything like this. I don't know too many people who've ever done anything like this, except for maybe the folks who are like Kathleen Kennedy and that team that are in charge of Star Wars right now.
Right.
Maybe whoever is in charge of Star Trek, the brand. Maybe like Alex Kurtzman or whoever. And of course, Kevin Feige over at Marvel. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm sure, or I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, it would be odd if he didn't.
To just be like, okay, the creative stuff we've got the ideas, we've got the plan, but like on the flip side of that job, what are your challenges? What are your,
because it's not just like Kevin Feige doesn't show up and say, this is what we're doing with the Marvel Universe and leaves.
Right.
He's there. He's part of the process. He explains why he has to be in these big meetings where everything's kind of called for. And it's not just story
stuff. And they have Marvel Parliament, too.
It's budgeting. He's dealing with like big wigs in the movie industry.
Scheduling, moving things around on a schedule.
Scheduling, now Bob Iger again.
Yeah, right. And also like dealing with personalities of people who might not have the best interests of the franchise in their hearts. There's a lot of politics involved when you get to these higher up positions.
Yeah.
I don't think James Gunn would have taken this position if he didn't have conversations like that on the regular with Kevin Feige.
Or wasn't, like, he's not going to be thrown by stuff now being thrown at him. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially after they just announced they canceled Batgirl. He has to know what kind of situation that he's getting into, speaking of the politics of like, who's he dealing with at Warner Brothers?
Right.
Who ultimately makes calls or who ultimately gets to call the shots?
Who am I reporting to? What does that mean?
Who am I reporting to? What is expected of me? All of that kind of stuff. I'm sure that he is like, him and Peter are on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're both great producers, and they both made a bunch of great movies.
Yeah, Peter Safran, Shazam. He's done a ton of stuff at Warner Brothers and all over the place. Yeah.
So
I was watching.
It's all very exciting.
I was watching this documentary on the Imagineers, and it's on Disney Plus, and it was about the Imagineers, from the '60s all the way up until up to date, right? And there was that one moment where who's the guy before Bob Iger?
Eisner.
Oh my God, Eisner. Yeah. Michael Eisner.
Yes.
Yeah. But he came in with his buddy, and his name was like Peter or something. He was also head of Warner Brothers, left head of Warner Brothers to come and be with Disney. Eisner.
Yeah.
And so when they came in, they were like a force. They changed the company, turned it around, made it profitable, made the parks amazing. Like they did so many things. Then Peter passed away. And then Peter died in like a helicopter accident or something like that, or like a plane accident.
I think you're right.
And so that really hit Eisner really hard, and it wasn't the same. And he didn't do that. So I don't think we can discount the influence of other people in their lives, and specifically James Gunn being so close to Kevin Feige.
Yeah,
like having that. I'm sure they go to lunch together. They they hang out on the weekends, or like maybe not like every.
I think
weekend,
James Gunn said that the moment that this was like announced, or he was like in discussions to do it, he went and talked to Kevin Feige about it.
I'm sure there was more than that conversation.
That story, man, about that working partnership, and then how one of them tragically passed away. Like, I feel like that also applies to James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Yeah.
They've been longtime buddies. They have a working relationship. Peacemaker was because of both of them working together, and probably Peter going to bat for James and vice versa. For a very risky. I remember I interviewed Peter Safran and kind of was like, "How did this happen?" And he was sort of like, "We went to James with, do you have any ideas for anything?" And he was kind of working on to the Suicide Squad and mulling it over, and then came back and was like, "Actually, this." And because of COVID, wrote all 8 episodes. Like, this really interesting. And then I think Peter went back to Warner Brothers and went, "This is what we have. This is what we want to do." So that's also a working relationship. I'm very excited to see.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to go about stuff is having somebody to bounce ideas off of, somebody who you trust, somebody who is not exactly like you, because that turns into an echo room. Like you got to have dissonance. You got to be able to, but dissonance into where like you both know what direction you're working in all the time. And so hopefully they have that kind of working relationship with like,
what's funny is
with Feige just chilling in the back going like, "Go boys, I got you."
It's funny is because I think we were talking about this last night with like, the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender,
right?
And that this kind of dynamic between 2 working creators and creatives, and sort of what each one of them brings to the table. I feel like in that situation, Peter might be the one who's a little bit more chill,
right?
And James Gunn might be the one who's a little bit more like wacky, like So I'm like, maybe
reel it in.
Maybe Peter is reeling it in, and maybe
he's like, "When are we going to see Plastic Man's 10-foot dong?" Like, that kind of thing.
Peter's like, "I don't think we can do that."
Like, bro,
I don't know, man.
Chill
I
out,
don't know. Maybe too much.
Love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, and I think that's I think ultimately what excites me about that relationship, because we've talked about it. It's really hard to find a Kevin Feige, someone who understands the material, the source material, so incredibly well, but at the same time has had a lot of experience producing or being a producer on movies, which is what Kevin Feige's job was. He was a massive fan of the comic books, but he also worked as like an associate producer or a co-producer, or all kinds of different producing positions throughout the years for the Donners. So that really like prepped him and primed him to understand the business aspect of it and the creative aspect of it. But if you're James Gunn, you're not necessarily getting into the industry to also produce. Like a lot of times, if you're a writer director, you want to find someone who you can be like, "Here's my 100-page script. Go get me money." And then you turn it to somebody else. But I think, like you're saying, because he's worked with Feige for so many years, and he's also started producing more things and being an executive producer, you learn some of those skill sets. And then you amplify that with someone like Peter Safran, who is extra talented at that. So that way you can be like, okay, I have a little bit of that producer know-how. So when we have dialogue about how do we do this logistically, you have more of sort of the information, and you have like the greater knowledge about all of this, but I still understand on a basic level what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And then creatively, I'm sure Peter Safran has been in rooms where he's like,
absolutely,
hearing ideas and pitching things himself. Like that's really common and normal in the industry. I
don't think this partnership is an accident at all. Obviously, these guys are clearly, we don't know what the interview process was like. We don't know, how they finally made the decision. So, we'll never know that.
I'm pretty sure David Zaslav was going to give the job to whoever the fuck was going to take it. I'm pretty sure.
You got a 10-year plan? I got you, baby.
I'm pretty sure that dude was asking anybody on the line.
But the new PA guy that just got hired. Hey, what do you know about Superman?
Knocking on the water tower like, "Are any maniacs in there? Will you do it?
Where you at? Where you at? Please. Going to the museum to the Sorting Hat. Who should run DC Studios?
Please. I want to buy more Patagonia vests."
He goes up to the Superman statue and like bumps him. He's like, hey, who do you need?
Who do you want to work with?
Who do you want? Which one of these guys?
You just see a guy standing in the middle of Burbank where the AMC is, just talking to a statue of Batman, and you're like, who is that? Is that David Zaslav? It's so weird.
He's taking meetings with people, and he's like, "Okay, what the hell is Earth 1 and Earth 2?
What's
Earth Prime?
What is this? What in square Earth is this?
What does DC stand for?" Somebody told me it was Detective Comics. That doesn't make any sense.
Detective Comics?
How come DC Comics?
I thought it was Washington, D.C. because they came from Washington.
Zaslav, I'll stop making fun of you once you uncancel Batgirl. That's the plan. All right?
So this is the clown on Zaslav 5 minutes.
I'm going to knock you down a peg.
One more thing I want to say about James Gunn, to his credit, he is a guy that got fired and unfired from Disney.
Yeah.
So he knows the politics games. He knows, he knows how to talk to people, how to present his case. Like as much as we see him as like the crazy, kooky, fun stuff creator, he definitely has that like business mind of like, this is what I need to do to make things right, which is I think is great. And it's not like he even needed to make things right because everything was already right to begin with. It was that weird social media storm where people jumped the gun and literally jumped the gun, and it was unfortunate. But the fact that how many of us have ever been unfired? You've never been unfired. You've never been unfired. Nobody has ever been unfired.
No. Well, didn't you guys go back to work for the company after?
Yeah, but that was not an unfiring. That was like, we're desperate, please come back.
It wasn't we laid you off and now we have
it
work.
Wasn't like, fuck, we missed these guys. Let's bring them back. No, it wasn't that.
Point.
We're so desperate. Can you work every day for the rest of your life?
The rest of your life, please. But to be able to do what he did, obviously we don't know the details of what happened.
Yeah. Sure.
But the fact that he was able to do that, and not even just do that, like come back and say, I'm going to finish my franchise. Everything's going to be cool. Like no bad blood with whoever did this. And to play even those kind of office politics, I think is just as important as the creative aspect that he is in charge of at this point. This is why I think he's a good leader. Yeah. Because he's got experience in all of this stuff and he's going to have to be a good leader and he's got everything on his side basically. So I'm just like, cool. We got the crazy guy who's not afraid to do something like Peacemaker, which is a good direction. A direction you can take DC in. And he can also do Disney stuff like the holiday special and very like all audiences kind of situation. So,
and I think to that point,
he's got everything.
It makes me excited because they've talked about how they want to create some sort of like cohesion between live action, animation, television.
That would be rad.
And I'm like, that's really cool. And James Gunn, just like you just said, he is that guy who could because he understands all the tones.
And he's not afraid to play in
exactly. He's not afraid to embrace something that's more R-rated, like the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker, but also can do something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Fuck, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
he can do Scooby-Doo. So he can make the most kid-friendly, animated, live-action, TV show, whatever, movie, but then he can also go back the other way and be like, Peacemaker Season 2. Yeah. It's going to get dark.
It's going to get crazier.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, man. I trust you that you can do all of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see not only the future stuff that we don't know about, which, by the way, it felt so nice, and I hate throwing people under the bus, but it felt so nice when the Wrap wrote this whole thing of like, here's what we're hearing is happening, and James Gunn was like you were saying, nobody knows our plan.
Nobody
just
knows.
me and Peter Safran.
Shut your mouth.
Everybody at Warner Brothers Discovery isn't going to find out for another 2 months. So anything else you hear is bullshit. And I'm like,
it's all bullshit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out and saying
that. So I love that transparency, and again, like I know that we're kind of like not unique, but we are in that minority of people that we're like, I don't need to know everything that you're doing tomorrow. Give me a little bit here, give me a little bit there. If you're going to make a cool presentation at Comic-Con, awesome. So it's so nice to just see him be transparent at all on the internet about what they're doing. I think it's really, really cool. But I mean, if they're able to find a way to create some sort of path that can include everything. I mean, we know he loves animation. We know he loves TV, and like we know he loves all of that stuff. And he's just a creator who likes to make things that people can enjoy. I love that. It makes me excited to see how they create a plan that may or may not incorporate things that are already coming out and have come out. And, that includes things like, Aquaman, the Flash movie, Superman and Lois, the Batman universe, the Joker stuff. Like, what kind of role is that going to play? But then also, what are you guys doing to, I guess, I don't know, to continue telling the story of an interconnected universe that may potentially include Henry Cavill. Maybe Ben Affleck will be back. We don't know. It's kind of an exciting time. So I'm hoping, looking forward to that. Maybe there will be something at Comic-Con in Hall H.
We'll see.
And,
next year.
It'd be cool because there's always been these questions of like, what's Warner Brothers doing?
Right
Now we can have something to look forward to.
James Gunn doesn't watch the show. He might. But cheers to you, James Gunn.
Yeah.
To all of your success. I'm out of beer, but I'm still going to cheers to you anyway.
Me too.
Glug, 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 glug.
Thankful for you.
He's watched our reaction
Thankful
videos.
for you, Is there any other news topics, or should we move on to fan questions?
Does anyone have any thoughts about Bob Iger rejoining Disney?
Oh, my God. I have lots of thoughts. You're going to have to bleep out.
Yeah.
because I don't have good things to say about Chapek.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of good things to say.
Yeah,
about
that was
Chapek.
that whole thing was a real bummer.
Yeah.
You know.
I will say the shittiest thing he did to me personally was make me walk after a 12-hour day at Disney when the tram was not running
mile and a half.
a mile and a half back to the parking lot, bro. What the fuck? And you did that for almost a year. You made tired ass people walk.
Wait, why? How come?
You didn't get your pass at that point.
Yeah,
what
the
happened?
trams were not running.
But people were still parking at the lot, so you were able to walk from the parking lot down the path where the trams drive.
The amount of parents you would see carrying kids.
Why?
Dude, because nobody knows. Nobody just cutting costs for the tram. Didn't want to hire people.
I think initially they said it was for COVID reasons.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
I'm like, you can limit how many people
because
can get
they
on.
were stuffing people into the haunted mansion with no reserve.
Right.
You did not care what was happening on the tram.
Yep.
Did not care what was happening on the tram.
Yeah.
Bullshit. And right now, I love Disneyland. I have an annual pass. I'm not gonna lie. But right now it feels like a money suck and a merch pickup place.
Yeah.
There's some cool merch. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, that's not what I go to Disneyland for. I go to Disneyland to really enjoy the rides and have some escapism and just hang out. You know, like enjoy it as much as I can.
Look, a big red flag. I think we can all agree on this is when Chapek had comments that were something in the realm of like animation is not for adults. It's for kids.
My God,
And
that was. Did you hear that one?
I'm like, dude,
You heard that one.
Do you realize what the age demographic that goes to your park?
Do you realize what Disney did in the 90s?
Yeah.
Do you realize what Disney did in the 60s and 70s and in the 20s and 30s? Like, this whole company was based on animation. Bro. Based off animation. And you're dissing that made me so mad. That made me so fucking mad.
So my hope is that, we obviously don't know what the relationships are like inside of the company, but I do hope that for Marvel, for Star Wars, for all these other brands that kind of exist for 20th century, all these brands and companies that exist within Disney, that the relationships are better and stronger, that we potentially can get more, different types of films and shows.
So weird because like this position is so powerful in the world that it's almost ridiculous. Like a president of a country.
Almost.
It is. Not elected.
Yeah.
So it's
absolutely.
So I like how angry people were getting at that Bob.
Yeah.
And with Iger coming back, I'm like, all right, let's keep that same energy. We got to hold him accountable. If he messes up, let's hold this dude accountable. He had
a few mess ups, but for the most part, he did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
He opened Shanghai Disney, which apparently was a massive success. That's a big undertaking. Like, you guys should go watch that Imagineers documentary.
I think I've seen it. The Imagineering
I need to
story.
rewatch
it. It's really good. But like going back and seeing what Iger did for the company, I think was really impressive.
Star Wars and Marvel.
He bought Star Wars, Marvel. He brought this. I remember when I first got my annual pass, going to Disneyland felt really special. Yeah, and that was in the Iger period, and I didn't know.
Iger, real talk, he messed up John Carter. So
was that Iger?
Beef with him?
Was
yes,
that
it
Iger?
was 2012, baby. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was Bob Iger.
Bob Iger was there,
And that made him go like, well, we can't do sci-fi. Let's just buy Star Wars. Can't do,
Okay.
We can't.
All right. There you go, Iger. All right. We're going to call you out on your shit too, bro. All
right.
I mean, I know we have mixed feelings about the acquisition of Fox as well.
Right.
And there's, I can't remember. Oh, no, it was about Disney. There was an article. I didn't get a chance to read it, so I don't know. I think it's an opinion piece, but the headline said something to the effect of basically Iger prepping a Disney sale to Apple. And I'm like, oh, God, no. God, no. No, we don't need to do this. Just stop. We don't need to have all these companies like doing
merging
all this
and selling each other. And
the only one that came out recently that I was like, I understand was Atomic Monster and Blumhouse.
Oh, right.
Which is James Wan's company and Jason Blum's company.
Sure. Okay.
Those are much smaller production studios that are very niche, that are but mostly only about horror.
Yeah.
And they have a distribution deal with Universal. So like those types of things, I'm like, I look at that a little bit differently.
It's 100% different because it's mega conglomerate companies.
Yeah.
That fucking Disney tried to buy out and copyright the word Day of the Dead. Before, like they were thinking about
the caucasity, the caucasity,
bro, caucasity to try to buy out a company.
That's why you need brown people on your board. That's why you need them in the room to be like,
Excuse me.
But it didn't happen, which was great.
Yeah. And then after they got dragged, that's when they went out and they're like, "Can we hire a culture, sort of like committee to kind of help us do this right?" And then that helped make the movie Coco better.
They hired Jorge Alcaraz. I don't know if you guys know him, but he drew a famous. He's a caricaturist, and he drew a famous piece called Muerto Mouse, and it was a giant dead Mickey, like with giant fangs, and like he's this half skeleton, grotesque Mickey, like gigantic, just stomping over like indigenous Mexican people, and it said Muerto Mouse coming to like cannibalize your culture or something like that. And so those kind of things and that kind of pushback, I think, is really important. And obviously, we're not going to let bullshit fly even from Iger at this point, just because he's here. But also, he's only here for 2 years.
Yeah, it's temporary.
Interesting.
It's only a 2-year thing. He's here to basically clean camp with Disney Plus and find the successor for whatever they want to do in the future. So
he old, bro. Don't
fuck it up, bro.
Wow.
Don't fuck it up.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So kick rocks, Chapek.
Yeah.
I'm bitter about
Tell
that.
us how you
guy.
really feel about
bitter
it.
about
Should have
that
been
guy.
more direct and clear about where them funds were going to in Florida, dude.
Yeah, what'd you say about Florida?
You got to defend your gay employees,
What'd you say about
man.
animation?
Come on, man. Come on. You messed up.
Bad boy.
Done messed up,
Bad
Bob.
boy.
Let's get to fan questions.
Okay.
This is just gonna send me spiraling.
I know.
Fan questions.
Gonna be
First
mad.
question from Super Dude 95. Hey homies, what are some of your fondest holiday memories?
Oh, go watch our first CzechXicans holiday episode. We have some pretty good ones
because
there.
we was like right
Enough
around
said.
Halloween, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Enough said.
no. We
Last year?
But do I have any other ones that I can share?
Somebody in the comments wants to do a link to that original episode.
Yeah, somebody in the comments
you
could
go.
link that to that
There you
because
go.
we talked about it for like an hour.
Yeah.
But it's all family time. Like it's just getting to spend time with your family. I think we all can agree that that's really what the holidays are for. But
That's the good stuff.
we go into details in that last episode.
It's true.
So
It's
get
true. Next question, unless you have something.
No.
Okay. From Chris Williamson. What's up, homies? I just want to begin by saying that I'm actually quite thankful for coming into this community this year. I've been a fan of the channel as well as past work you guys have been involved with, but I truly feel like I have gotten to know you and many members of the Heroes Reforged community this past year. The community you guys have built online has been a wonderful place for positive fans from diverse backgrounds to feel welcomed and appreciated, and I cannot thank you enough for that. That being said, what would you say has been the one thing that has happened within the community over the past year that you are thankful for?
Oh, we kind of hit this already a little bit.
I thought he was going to say, that being said, what's the one thing that's happened in the community that fucking pissed you off?
Who's the worst member of this community? Let's call him out.
No, I'm just kidding.
In the community, I feel like I think what was really cool is watching people come together on Twitter and form like little friend groups around us. And we called them out in the last episode, which is great. But there's tons of people like other people who we didn't mention, like D in Colorado, like Oscar, what's his name? Oscar last name Lopez, I think. He brought us those hot sauces. And pan dulce at the fan meetup. We ate the pan before you got.
You were too late, bro.
I had COVID.
That's right.
That's true.
That's right. You did have COVID.
That's right.
But we do have a hot sauce for you. Do you like hot sauce?
Yeah.
Do you eat hot sauce?
Yeah.
God, dude.
He brought some of the dopest hot sauce.
Good.
Dopest hot sauce. So I feel like seeing these little pockets of people who are our fans. And what's cool is that they don't center their conversations around us. It's just like they become friends and fans. And even if they're not friends in real life, they'll like connect.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big plus of our community. And I feel like we didn't set out to form this kind of community.
Yeah.
We are those kinds of people. And those are the kinds of people who we like to hang out with and be around. And so it just makes sense that those are the people who follow us.
Yeah, this is something that I've noticed, and I don't think it's been exclusive to this year. But I do think it's been happening more and more and more and more, especially ever since Heroes Reforged.
Yeah.
In the past we never really put on blast like we're Mexican or we're Czech or we're this or whatever. But I think specifically because this podcast is called CzechXicans, I think a lot of people have seen that and been like, oh, these are my people.
Right.
And I feel like on social media, people talk about their Mexican cultures or their Czech culture, or even if it's not Czech or Mexican, and they talk about literally any other country they're from, if they're from Japan or from China or from wherever. So I feel like we have had an opportunity. We talk about superhero stuff all the time, but we also get to now learn about other cultures through people in our community who talk. If we're like, oh, for what's something that you guys had in Prague that you loved? We had this food.
Right.
Oh, we have something similar to that. So, we get to like learn
That's cool.
about food and culture and how like they do holidays different. I love that so much.
But also how people across the planet experience the fandoms themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
so today on Hive, I put out a post and I was like, hey, I want to build a strong Latino community here on Hive, right? And so I was like, first of all, I'm going to follow you if you're a Latino creator and you post and tag yourself here. But I want you to follow at least one other Latino creator on here, just so we can like kind of have a little net. But what I didn't expect was the amount of Star Wars people it's all Star Wars people. It's just like all Star Wars creators.
Yeah, they got. And I was like, Hive,
the grip that Star Wars has on Mexicans' nuts is just like crazy, bro. It's like Arturito and C3 and C3PO, and just like Star Wars has a grip on the Latino community, and I was like, this is all Star Wars people. This is nuts, and so like it's very different from here where you would expect like a little bit more Marvel. Or like anywhere else in the world might have different fandoms that that people are attached to, and so that's just one that I noticed. I'm like, that's cool. Like,
that's cool.
There's a giant mega Latino Star Wars community that are diehards about this stuff, and so it's just an interesting observation that I made. So hopefully that post goes well further along as it goes.
You got one?
No.
No.
Favorite? I mean.
Just if you've noticed anybody, if
you've noticed.
I have always noticed since we've started doing stuff when we happen to come across some negativity, other people in our community, fans
big.
I'll
That's
recognize,
huge. That's
like
huge.
names I'll know and recognize will kind of show up and be like, hey, we don't want that here, or that's rude, or that's inappropriate, or this is why that's, and it's great because I think it's one less thing that the three of us would kind of have to go and engage in or worry about necessarily, because we don't have like what's the word, like a community manager.
We don't have a social media manager. No,
we have mods in our Discord, and that's awesome,
right?
And that's super helpful. But just anytime that happens, that's beautiful. It makes my day.
I think, honestly, I think that's kind of like the backbone of the community at this point, because people understand now, like the message in the community that they're a part of, and they don't want it ruined.
Right.
That's fucking awesome. Like that's really, really cool. So shout out to everybody in the community for being dope and letting us do what we do.
Jack Lemieux asks, hello, homies. What is the likelihood you will be rewatching Daredevil? I think the 3 seasons plus Defenders will be great before the new series. Thank you for the great content and keep up the great job.
I am the completionist, so when you say I think the 3 seasons and Defenders, I'm like, well, what about Jessica Jones season 1? That takes place before Defenders. What about Luke Cage season 1? That takes place before Defenders.
Listen.
And yes, what about Iron Fist? That takes place before Defenders.
That show doesn't exist.
And all of those
does not exist.
And all those shows got a season 2.
Here's what I will say.
Yeah,
we can do Daredevil if we're not going to do any. We can do whatever you want. Yeah. If you don't want us to do anything else, basically, like you want us to do Daredevil, cool. We're not doing Last of Us. We're not doing any cool shows that are coming out.
It might that would be like a later down. When does the show come out? It doesn't come out until 2024. Yeah. Or is it 2023?
I think it's late next year.
Daredevil,
Born Again.
Born Again comes out 2023.
Yeah, I think it's like fall, winter next year.
Jesus,
don't forget, we still have to do Stranger Things.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, we have to do all.
I consider
all of Stranger Things.
I can't believe that still hasn't been spoiled for us.
I consider the Netflix Marvel stuff as like something I would actually like to go back and rewatch or watch with you guys, but it is lower priority on the scale.
I mean, we're also doing some cool stuff. Like the X-Men, I think is gonna once X-Men 97 and the movies start coming out, or whatever mutant type things they have the MCU has planned. I think a lot more people are gonna go back and enjoy those videos that we created. But like I think we have to find that balance of like cool thing appointment watching that we do week to week, and cool things that people
legacy
would like us
thing
to do.
Or what's the word, like archive thing,
exactly,
whatever I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's gotta happen. People are excited about our what's it called, the 4 Jesus Christ, not season 4, the Marvel fucking
Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Oh, right.
Marvel Jesus, yeah.
Marvel Jesus.
Marvel, the Phase 4. Like people got so hyped, to hear that we could potentially be doing that. So like, that's all stuff.
We did talk about that in the video.
Yeah, and to kind of like assure people that like we're talking about all this stuff. And it's all stuff that we'd like to do.
A little behind the scenes, I feel like we kind of plan everything out about a month in advance. Our shooting schedule,
even more than that, man.
And if something doesn't line into that, keeping in mind we also have to keep somewhat flexible because we got a screener for this.
Right.
We got a screening to go to.
Today we just got invited to Avatar. We're like, it's a shooting day, so we got to move some stuff around. That type of thing.
But I think that I feel like we have all of December mapped out. And
we're also taking breaky breaks, bro.
That's true, but that's part of the mapping out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody watching would be like, good, you guys should take a break. But I'll also say this very confidently. We're not going to get to Star Trek stuff until next year.
Right.
But it's on the docket. It's just about figuring out, what is the priority because it's exactly like you said. So I would also feel like, honestly, because I think that there's value in going back and rewatching Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
I agree, 100%.
Right? And Daredevil season 2, and that I would almost want to wait until Daredevil Born Again. Then we do that show, and then when that's over, we go back and do Daredevil season 1. Take our time.
Yeah, I agree.
Then Jessica Jones season 1. Take our time. Then Daredevil season 2, that's where it comes in.
The only issue, I agree.
I'm fine with that.
The only issue is that fitting other stuff into that equation is also the tough part as well.
That's it.
There's just so many things that we could potentially watch. We still got to do House of Dragons, guys.
I know.
We're still just so
Sandman.
So I want to officially say,
Cabinet of Curiosities.
We have things that we have committed to, and it's actually in our schedule.
Yeah.
We have things that we have verbally discussed, and I'll count the Daredevil Netflix stuff as we would like to get to it at some point.
Yeah.
And then we have stuff that's we should not say yes to this, and we need to stop. We need to stop saying we're going to do new stuff.
I know.
Until we really get to a kind of a lull.
You mentioned one a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know where we're going to fit this in.
Yeah. Don't say it because people are going to expect us to watch it now.
Maybe they'll forget. Well, maybe we'll just slip in an updated graphic.
It's not one that, it's definitely not one we mentioned live.
Okay. All right. But it's,
we want to give you content. We just,
I mean, never mind. I'm not going to say it.
Just drop it. Next question. Next question.
Shelby Fielding asks, hey guys, was wondering if there was someone who changed your philosophy on stories. For me, I came to nerd culture later in life because of a repressive, conservative upbringing. But upon falling in love with stories again, I went through a snobby and elitist phase and pushed my nerdy stuff away. Then I discovered Fat Man Beyond, a podcast hosted by Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, where Mark broke down story in a way that showed me the level of talent behind these works of genre. I fell back in love with genre and became a writer, and I'm currently working on a Best of Fat Man Beyond essay that I hope Mark and Kevin will read and enjoy.
Cool.
Anything similar from you guys? Sorry for the long story. P.S. Hector was also name dropped on an episode of Clark Wolf. Always nice when there's a crossover. Thanks, guys.
I love that.
Heck yeah. Clark Wolf, good friend of the show, Clark Wolf.
I think because Clark Wolf, because she had a podcast and I did it once where we talked about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We want to talk about the history of Disney.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that episode I brought so much of the history of how that movie got made and how it's this amazing accomplishment. And I think it kind of changed her perspective on that movie and animation as a whole. So I feel like maybe that's why she would bring up my name as because I think I talked about Snow White and then the Iron Giant as my two kind of bookends of. That's a great question. I think that, man, excellent question. Conan O'Brien changed my philosophy on comedy because I kind of didn't really know. I was a fan of comedy at a surface level and a fan of Conan and the late night with Conan O'Brien, and then you got the Tonight Show, and then but then hearing a lot of his interviews and stuff, and with him talking about his philosophy.
He's great.
I was
he's not that Conan character. He's such an interesting person to talk to.
And I really vibed with his outlook on life. And what comedy was to him and stuff. So that was somebody who did that for me. But I really like hearing a great take on a movie, and then I go, okay. I remember when we were talking about Wakanda Forever, it was we started discussing the fact that there is so much connectedness between African American or Black culture and Latino culture, and then there's Afro Latinos, and that whole. And I was like, I think that's what the movie's about, and I felt like I was we were kind of right on the the edge of really getting into the good stuff. I love hearing about that kind of thing. I just can't think of any specific examples. Sorry, put me on the spot. Clark Wolf's great. Clark Wolf made me like the Scream movie more. Scream franchise, because she goes to bat for those and she breaks down why they're so great.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
okay. I'm gonna say you changed my mind on Fast and Furious, friend. Well, both of you guys changed my mind.
He changed my mind on Halloween.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wouldn't have given Halloween a second chance.
Yep.
You guys also changed my mind on Superman and Captain America.
Sure. Oh.
Because
you changed my mind on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, of course.
Done. We're each other's heroes.
I mean, I just made you right. I just made you right.
Yeah.
No, but like, I think there hasn't. So before we started doing any of this, I also did not explore my comic book background.
Yeah.
Like in high school.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I interact with people who I went to high school with, and they didn't know that I was into comic books because we didn't talk about it. Like,
secret shame.
It was kind of like a secret shame. Nobody thought it was cool. Like, I remember coming to school on Mondays or Tuesday mornings because Monday Night Raw had just happened, and bros were just like, "Oh my God, did you see The Rock? Did you see this?" Like, they were just. Everything was about Monday Night Raw. And I was like, I don't watch Monday Night Raw, you guys. Like, I was sitting at home, like, drawing Venom or, like, you know, like, listening to hip hop or, like, whatever. Like, that wasn't what I was about.
Yeah.
And so I repressed my comic bookness for a really, really long time. And it wasn't until, like, we started having our conversations at work where I was just like, oh, I forgot I knew all this stuff. Like, I forgot I was really, really into all of this stuff. And it always just came like bubbling up. Like, it's just been waiting, like just sitting there.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like my media or my my ideas really developed until we started talking about this stuff. Because obviously I enjoyed fandoms. I liked stuff, but I wasn't like die hard about anything.
I might feel the same too, man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's us getting together, talking stuff out.
Absolutely.
And then doing that additional research, you know, like,
Well, I remember talking to you before, Hector, and I remember trying to bring up like news topics or like other things that weren't comic book. And you'd be like, nah, man, I just want to talk about comic, or just like brushing it off.
You know what?
But now you're like the most activist, like.
I want to go back to the guy I was. That's what I'm going to do.
But I'm just
when
saying
Adam
that,
was like, is there any news stories you want to talk about? I'm like, nope. I just want to talk about.
I think it's part of growth, though. I think it's part of being like a well-rounded person that like you understand how like comics were influenced by real life events, and like politics, you know how politics, but also like cultures and things like that really came into play, and like everything that we love, it's all interconnected, which a lot of people who like hate our stuff don't understand either. It's just like. Where they say, get your politics out of Star Wars. I'm like, bro, you don't understand this whatsoever.
Yeah. That is also going back to this kind of question.
Yeah.
Is a huge part of the reason that I have fully committed and doubled down on why I love genre stuff. Right? Dramas and documentaries and all that stuff is great. But I will always prefer the movie where it's like, okay, but does someone have superpowers?
Yeah.
But does someone have like a magical thing or something? Yeah. And then the thing that makes me appreciate the good of that stuff, the cream of the crop, is because it's like, well, what's it say about our world?
Exactly.
And if there's something really good in there,
right.
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse or whatever, that makes me cry. I'm like, 100%. That's a miracle.
That's it.
You made a dumb thing meaningful.
Right, exactly.
And we could have fun with it.
Yeah, we can have fun with it. And also, like, you turned the super fantastical into something that I feel influences my decisions going forward. And I think that's the magic of like cinema and media and the things that we watch, because there's people out there genuinely trying to give a message and create beautiful things and like really say something in a very like, I don't think the Watchmen TV show gets enough credit for what it actually did. That show blew my mind with the things that it presented and said and did. And I feel like that's the type of media that...
We should rewatch that show, guys.
Dude, that's actually a really good idea.
We're not doing it.
We're not. Let's shuffle some stuff around.
It's so good. God damn it.
But like,
so good.
it's stuff like that I look for. And I always try to look for those meanings in the media that we watch now.
The best stuff.
It's just like, what are they trying to say? And what do we feel like they're trying to go for with these hints that they're dropping? And I feel like that's how I'm going to keep dropping the word media literacy because I feel like I've been searching for that word in my vocabulary for so long until I heard it recently. And I was like, I feel like there needs to be a lot more media literacy out just in the general public because I don't feel like that's a huge thing right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's, to kind of piggyback off of that, that's really, I would say that where I got most of my media literacy was I watched every single special feature and audio commentary, director commentary that I could get my hands on.
Ebert and Roper.
Yes.
Or Siskel and
I
Ebert.
didn't watch them. I thought they were boring early.
Well,
I think
sometimes some clips will resurface and you're like, damn, that was like a banger of a thing you said, Roger Ebert. Like, that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
He was savage. He was savage.
Oh, yeah. Those guys,
He's
for
a prickly pear, that Roger Ebert.
But I would say that like those things right there, those are the things that really made me at least understand like what was happening on the screen and how to maybe think about story and how to think about character arcs and the hero's journey and all that sort of stuff. And then I think over the years it was just watching more diverse movies because
other countries and
I obviously loved watching superhero stuff and all that stuff.
Hollywood movies are great.
Yeah, but even somebody like John Carpenter going outside of Halloween and watching The Thing and all these other movies that he's done and then seeing like, oh, Kurt Russell's in it, what else has Kurt Russell done? And then you find it's just a huge web of things that you then discover. And then finding people not necessarily who think like you but are as passionate as you that you can sit down with. You can sit down and talk with like, oh, how did that movie make us feel? How did we feel about the lighting and the cinematography? And then your circle slowly starts to get bigger. And then when we started doing this, I think that really also influenced how I just think about just movies in general, just storytelling in general. And I think that has continued. I think that will continue. And I think the more
we're aging like fine wine, baby.
Yeah, man.
We're aging like fine wine, I think.
And I think like the more that we diversify the types of stories that we tell and the more, cultures that we spotlight and the more different types of people that we spotlight, it really influences how you think about storytelling in different ways. Yeah. And that's what I really hope for people. And that's, going back to media literacy. That's why sometimes when I see people have hot takes about whether it's superhero movies or cinema, I'm always like, well, if you're only watching one particular type of thing, it's really going to limit how you can, I guess, formulate your thoughts about things and how you have discussions online with people about things.
Well, yeah. And people who do that don't realize that they're showing their misunderstanding of what they're consuming when you don't compare it to other things to watch.
Yeah, it's less of like an open-mindedness too.
Right. It's like you're in this lane. You probably know that lane very well. You're probably obsessed with that lane. You probably, really do a lot of stuff in that lane. But what do you do outside of that? Like, is there anything else you can tell me about Hayao Miyazaki or like any classic monster films?
I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't think I would watch as much animation as I do now. And I would still probably be like, I'd probably be like Bob Chapek, and I'd be like, it's for kids. But then I would still like certain Pixar things. So it's like it's a weird thing. But now it's more like, oh, you said this anime is good? Oh, Arcane's good? Oh, shit. All right, let's go watch
that one episode. One episode of The Boys. What's it called?
That Andy Samberg did.
Written by Samberg.
Yeah.
Come on.
Great.
That was one of the most moving episodes of anything that I've seen.
Yeah.
That was great.
This question is like specifically for you, I think.
Hell yeah.
Matt
Bring
Milligan.
it.
I know you guys frequent Disneyland. Any thoughts or opinions about going to other theme parks? Have you ever been to Disney World in Florida or any other international ones?
I just went to Disney World, Florida. And we went to Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah. And that was fun too. I mean, look, Disneyland is a hop, skip, and a jump away. Like, it's really close. We have annual passes and we go as much as we want. I think it's a very special place as far as like I really like the history. And when I go to Disney, that's why I watch the Imagineers stuff, because I love to see the passion and the ideas that came behind everything that was designed for for Main Street, for Pirates, for everything. And thinking about like, in the 60s, these guys got together and they were like, we're going to make some fucking pirates, bro. Yeah. We're going to make some fucking pirates and everybody's going to love these fucking pirates.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But we only have 10 square feet.
Yeah.
What do we do with this ride? Oh, well, let's do it underground. That's why it has the drop and it goes outside of the park. And they're like, let's maximize these ideas. I think the Imagineers and everybody who was in that early creative phase of Disney.
Incredible what they did.
It's insane, dude. Absolutely insane. And so I really hold that in high reverence because it feels like magic, and sometimes you can feel that idea, and it does spark that kind of creativity in you.
It's unfair to compare to other theme parks.
It is kind of unfair.
It's unfair. I mean, you've been to Florida, so you can talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but like,
I've only been to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Universal Studios is interesting because you go there and it's a working
studio.
Like,
it's a working studio.
And they're just like in the corner. They're like, there's a bunch of like rides. Some of them are cool. Some of them are janky. Go do that.
Yeah.
And you get on the tram and like, it's Dominic Toretto, and you're like, what? And it's just like crappy hologram. Like,
right.
It's so interesting to see the influence of the Disneyland machine.
But hey, Transformers, dope.
Sure. Right.
Sure.
And I also want to say
sucks,
that
though. Legoland sucks.
Bro, that shouldn't even be considered like
I feel bad.
Park.
I know.
That
I feel
place is
bad because
it's really bad. Don't go.
There's just
obviously if
bro,
you ever have
just
kids,
dust on all the Legos.
Dude, they don't take care of their Legos. Like it's bad.
They're real dusty.
They're real
Sorry.
dusty. But okay, in comparison, I've also been to Universal Florida and I've been to Universal here. I think that Universal has a lot of potential to do some really cool stuff if they brought in that kind of passion that the Imagineers have. Like if Universal had their own Imagineers team, it would be exactly on par with Disney. Like just everything's like the attention that Disney spends on their trash cans, on keeping the floor clean, on like everything's always freshly painted. Like that's not easy to come by. And I've seen attractions at
Six
Universal.
Flags is a mess.
I don't trust those rides, bro, because they haven't been touched in decades.
Yeah.
But like Universal in particular, I went maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was fun. Like you could tell they took ideas from Disney, and they were like, "Cool, we're gonna do our own thing, and this is gonna be the Harry Potter world." And it's like got its
very
own
immersive,
got its own flavor, very immersive, really cool. But what I really enjoyed was the Islands of Adventure Marvel Land, and I really freaking enjoyed it because it felt like Marvel in the '90s. It was so cool.
That's as far as they have the rights to.
There's a Doctor Doom ride, which is it's just a fall ride, but it's awesome. There's a Hulk roller coaster. But there's a parade that happens that comes through. Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, and Spider-Man come out on tricycles.
What?
Those 3-wheeled motorcycles that have 2 in the front and 1 in the back.
Oh my god.
And they're just going up and down the street doing this thing.
Awesome.
And then they all park at the like they all park next to each other.
Oh my god. The X bikes.
Yeah,
so
and I'm just
funny.
like, this is insane. Insane. Like you expect me to think that Spider-Man rides a tricycle.
Yeah.
Like this
Replace
is
them
nuts,
if you're gonna
bro.
go 90s. Replace them with like Razor scooters or something. Make it really 90s. Make it really 90s.
But what I really liked about the place is that like the buildings are basically all Jim Lee drawings, which is really cool.
All
so like
colorful and
super colorful.
Yeah,
like there's giant Wolverine drawings all over. Like giant Spider-Man drawings. There's the Doctor Doom ride has this really dope Doom in the front, and I'm just like, that's cool. Like those are the little sparks of creativity where I'm just like, these are worth it. And I'm not a park snob at all, but like I can definitely spot the differences. And I think each one has definitely something that they can do better. Universal has like the bigger rides, like the more thrillier rides, whereas you know Disney doesn't have that. So
They have Incredicoaster, and that's pretty much
the only reason I go to Disney is because it's so close.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's a
here.
hop and a skip.
We happen to have it here, and it's so close.
Yeah,
And
it's right there. You guys can see it.
Yeah, right down the street.
yeah, just
If I
right
move
there.
that curtain,
Yeah, you can see
the
Walt's
Ferris wheel.
cryogenically frozen body from my window. So.
Felicia B asks, is there one comic book run from any studio that you'd love to see made into an animated movie or series? I'm going to go with Murder Falcon.
Ooh,
Excellent
interesting.
choice.
Animated series would be
yeah,
dope.
Yeah.
Excellent choice.
That's not your Murder Falcon shirt, though. Do you still have that Murder Falcon shirt?
I don't. I got a couple holes in it, so I had to toss it. I got to buy a new one. Got to buy a new one.
Read the question again, Adam.
Is there one comic book run from any studio that you'd love to see made into an animated movie or series?
Okay. Animated movie. I said this earlier on Hive. I said because somebody asked if you could take two franchises, which two would you ever want to cross over?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a really tricky, dangerous, probably better to not even attempt it. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? You take the comic book JLA Avengers and you make a Justice League Avengers animated movie so that it's separate from the continuity of like the MCU or the DCEU or DCU or whatever, and just kind of do like animated versions of those characters, but make it awesome and have the characters interact. And that's, I think, what I would do. And I would even try to have it look like the sort of classic George Perez art. That's do you know what I'm saying?
Like, rad,
if you can find a way to actually animate that style.
I mean, he did it in Maya 3. He did it
potentially.
Yeah,
potentially. No, I said George Perez, not Jorge.
Oh, no.
Gutierrez.
George Perez.
Yes.
Which is the comic book artist.
Correct.
Yes,
and technically, it was pronounced Perez. He had the accent over the first E.
Oh, did he?
I used to think it was Perez for a long time, but he's a Puerto Rican guy, and he had the accent over the first E, so it's Perez.
So you're right.
You
I think he has the definitive Superman look, the definitive Batman look, and also his Power Rangers run. Insane.
Did he do Power Rangers?
Wait, are we talking about the same guy?
Probably not.
Oh. What are we talking about here? Hold on.
But he did draw those other characters, so I was like, yeah, sure, man.
I was like, Wonder Woman? And you went Power Rangers. I'm like, what?
Hold on.
He did do the definitive Wonder Woman. He did do, I would say, he had an Avengers
amazing run. 80s hair.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, She-Hulk.
I'm thinking of a different guy.
Okay.
I'm thinking
Who are you thinking of?
Let me try to find his art. He did the Superman All-Star art.
Frank Quitely? No, Superman All-Star Superman or Superman All-Star? Say Power Rangers comic artist.
Right now, he's the one doing Punchline, the Punchline comic.
Oh my God, dude, that is
you're talking
Jorge Jimenez. See?
That dude is phenomenal.
This guy, I think this guy. So he did a huge run of the Power Rangers, the new grid stuff that they were doing.
I think you're right.
Sick, dude. It's this guy's art is incredible. I follow him, and he's on a whole different
to show
level.
Augustine, pull up George Perez.
Yeah.
Pull up George Perez, because George Perez had a classic 80s, 90s, 70s style. His is like classic comic book, old school. It's
yes, I've seen this before. Yeah.
It really goes like Jack Kirby, George Perez, Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, the sort of like, the eras are.
Yeah.
So when he did Justice League Avengers, like that's what his characters look like.
I mean, that's totally doable as an art style nowadays.
Potentially.
I think that totally is.
It's just so classic that it makes me think like for example, not to say that it's not definitive, but Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse definitely has a style. And I think it sets itself apart from, we're not the live-action Spider-Man movies. We're not the MCU. This is the Sony, this. But this, dude, if you could find a way to basically animate this, Captain America, Superman, Iron Man, Batman, Vision, Aquaman, Thor, it would make me feel like it's kind of definitive, Look at that. I don't know. Maybe it'd end up looking like He-Man. I don't even know if it's possible. That's the kind of thing. Or I would be really interested to see if there's a way to try to make the animation work and make something look like Alex Ross movie.
I think you could.
Right?
I mean, that's very CG.
It's very CG, but maybe with like a cell shaded. You know how they did like Paperman?
Yeah.
Again, maybe there's a technology that exists where you have a CG Superman, and as he moves around, he kind of looks like a watercolor painting. Like, I'm like, that would be sick,
dude, Arcane did it.
Yeah.
Arcane did it. Like, it's totally doable.
I think you're right.
100%
So that
doable.
would also be fun to take a great, Kingdom Come. I'm like, that's the way at this point I'd want to see it.
Yeah.
Don't give me Kingdom Come with Henry Cavill. It doesn't work. It's a separate thing.
Yeah. I needed to see it in that art style.
Yeah.
That
would actually, fuck.
It's doable.
Let me call James Gunn.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Buddy boys. Jimmy.
Babe.
Talk to me,
Babe.
talk to me, baby.
Let me put something to you.
I got a great idea for you, babe. Have you seen Disney's Paperman? Babe. Here's what we're going to do. Alex Ross.
Listen, babe.
I feel like a Hollywood agent with this thing on my head. Like,
listen, baby.
Listen, baby. Here's what we're doing, okay? 2 words.
Pitch it.
Ross. 2 other words. Kingdom Come. 2 other words. Animated film blockbuster. Babe, are you there? You're listening?
Babe,
Get Peter on the line. Peter.
$1 million.
James.
Saps.
Peter.
Every S in that title, put dollar signs in it, because that's what you're gonna see. That's what you're gonna
Superman,
see.
dollar signs. Shazam, dollar signs.
That's
They're
what you're
in
gonna
it.
see.
They're both
Wonder
in it.
Woman's dollar
Dollar
signs.
signs.
Wonder Woman's,
Batman's, Superman's, totally.
Magog. Remember Magog, James?
Magogs,
Safs.
Safs. Put
Money.
a $sign through it.
Gunny.
Oh my God.
Gunny boy.
Oh my God.
Gunny
Guns. Put some $signs through it.
move on.
Show me the gunny.
All right. Coffee asks, hey guys, love your content. How do you deal with anxiety, if you have any?
Doing voices. Doing impressions
Really?
of Hollywood agents. That's how I do it.
Oh, yeah.
You remind me, you know who you remind me when you did that was Amy Sedaris in Chef. Remember she was like the PR person?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yep.
so funny.
That's exactly right.
So what about the meal?
Interesting.
I don't want to cook.
Exactly.
I don't have any like techniques on dealing with anxiety because I feel like I'm fairly good with it. I'm not an anxious. That's the
you're
thing.
good.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen me anxious. I'm not an anxious person. Like even when there's
The most anxious I've seen you is tweets don't equal news.
Yeah, exactly. I've had people get mad at me because I don't get anxious because like
Yeah.
I don't show that like sense of like
You're like,
it's
alright.
getting to me.
Urgency or frustration.
I don't like to call it urgency because
Yeah.
that implies that like I don't care.
Right.
But
you're not
people-
apathetic.
Right, I'm not apathetic, but people think that because I'm not reacting a certain way that I don't care about
Yeah.
something.
Right. Which is
And it's been an issue in the past actually, and mainly with employers. They're like something bad happens, and I'm just like, okay, I'll handle it. Like it's not a big deal. Like don't worry about it. But when I say that, they're like, what do you mean? I'm just like, relax, guys.
Yeah.
We'll handle
not
it.
missiles, bro.
Right. We're not doctors. I'm not doing open heart surgery here. Like
I'm like that with certain things. Like if I'm dealing with something that's usually like at home, and I'm at home for the holidays, or my mom needs something or whatever, she'll start me. Why aren't you freaking out about this? And I'm like, because
relax, bro.
Why?
Relax,
what for?
bro.
What do I
Yeah.
need to freak out for?
That's
It's fine.
That's how I feel about almost any freak out situation.
Yeah.
Like, relax. Like we'll handle
Yeah.
it. It'll
be
get
fine.
resolved. Don't worry
sometimes,
about it.
fine.
sometimes when it comes to stuff that like we're doing, sometimes I get anxious about, like making a deadline or getting somewhere on time. Like there's been times where, I think I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time, like a screening, and then things like you're going to be 30 minutes later because of traffic or an accident. I'm like, and I don't know how to deal with it.
That's a lot of anxiety.
Dude, like, there's days where I'll be on the freeway and I'm like, thank God no one can hear me cursing at the other cars. I'm like, you son of a
Hector,
bitch, get out of the
he's so
fucking, get out of the fast lane, you dick. Anyway,
Mom, Dad.
Somebody's gonna cut that and put it right next to Hector's mom. Shut the fuck up, bro.
That's how I deal with anxiety. I lash out.
I would say
Fictional characters.
And if I do have a moment like that, I'm usually always alone. It's like very rare that I'm like anywhere. Because if I'm in a public setting, I'm like, hold it in,
Right.
hold it in, get in the car. And then I'm good.
I for
that's
some
about it.
reason let it just pass through me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
go and don't make me anxious. And
When
it
I was
just
younger,
goes
I
through.
used to not have I have a really short temper, and I would get frustrated about every single thing. And especially if it was something that I thought was important, but other people didn't care about. Like I did a fundraiser for a movie once, and like a really close friend was like, I'm not going to make it. And it was like for a incredibly stupid reason. And I just, it tore me apart inside.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
it
we
was-
just learned some stuff about Adam.
I know we did.
Yeah.
All right.
But
therapy
then
hour.
I don't know. I think it was just age and experience. And then I moved to LA and I was like, not alone in the sense that I had no one, but
Right.
we worked
You're dealing
all
with your
the
own
fucking
emotions,
time.
yeah.
And you're like, that was a really stupid thing to get mad about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wait, do you really do voices, Hector?
No.
I thought you just like started Jim carrying it up.
Oh no.
Oh my
I
god!
like
these
I was
I like to clean. I like to organize.
Oh, really?
To deal with
I know
anxiety.
you organize.
I like to go into the garage and I'll be like, I'm gonna now move my action figures and organize my
silver
comics.
pants- your silver pants are now blue.
Blue. That's right. That's what I do. I have that comic, by the way, the comic book that he's reading, the Marvel comic. I have a copy of it just because
He says that.
Steve Carell in The 40-Year-Old Virgin reads it and he's laughing, and it's true. It's a funny moment.
It's a good
funny
moment.
comic.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
We have
And we have
so
1,000
many
more questions. We should
questions.
probably pick
I
like
know.
one more.
This one from Lori. When I started watching Rings of Power and was hearing and seeing all the ridiculous backlash, I came across your reaction videos on YouTube. I was so excited to see other people who approach media like I do. As a huge Tolkien nerd that I am, and will forever be, 100% sure that the man himself himself would appreciate these adaptations because they are very true to the spirit of his work. The first CzechXicans I saw absolutely hooked me. Your words about toxic culture legitimately renewed my faith in human nature. What? It really has been a bad few years. I know it has always been there, but it has been feeling worse lately.
Yep.
I had to join Patreon. Positivity and inclusion needs to be supported. I am enjoying watching along with you guys. Thanks for being a fresh breeze. Are you going to do Wheel of Time? I think it was Hector that mentioned Conan books, so I wondered. Robert Jordan was a great writer.
All of that amazing
Good
stuff.
question.
And
Good
then
question.
I'm going to send that person crashing down to the ground, and I'm going to say, I didn't like Wheel of Time. I also saw the first season, and I didn't like the show.
Yeah.
It's very well done, but I couldn't connect to it.
Yeah.
And now this beautiful human being who was so excited about the three of us and like renewing their faith in humanity is now just like...
I didn't see that last part when I read the question, and I was like,
I'm so
oh, no.
sorry. I'm so sorry, but I will. But in all seriousness, I would absolutely watch anything with you guys.
Yeah.
If
I
you
think
guys,
so, yeah.
if you guys came to me and were like, "Hey, we're gonna do Wheel of Time because a new season's coming out and people are asking for it," and even if I were to go, "I've seen the first season, I'll watch it again with you guys." I'll watch anything with you guys.
You're a fucking
but
liar.
It just depends
You're a
on.
fucking liar
It's not.
because you're not going to do Squid Games.
But I did season 1, so I'll do Wheel of Time season 1 at least.
Okay,
But
okay.
I'm gonna put Wheel of Time. I'm just gonna put Wheel of Time in the category of like we probably shouldn't commit to it because we do have so many other things that are kind of floating.
Well, I also appreciate that like you watched it ahead and you're just like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
I watched it because I was doing Nerdist Book Club at the time and I read the book and I was
I see.
any book that I read or show that I watch, I like to think I'm fully 100% open to like, am I going to love this? Is this going to be my next thing that I'm kind of obsessed with and kind of love it? And the more that I read and the more that I watch, I kind of learn what my things are, the things that I like and what I'm drawn to. And I thought Wheel of Time was like a well-written book, but I just could not connect to the story or the characters. And it's one of those book stories that people who read it when it came out in the 90s, I think, loved it so much. And they're like, oh, but you got to keep reading. It gets really good by like book 4. Yeah. And by book 13, woo! And I'm just like, that's awesome. Yeah. But I would, for me, I'm going to commit that time in my life to other I'm obsessed with Conan the Barbarian. I'm obsessed with John Carter of Mars. Those are not everyone's favorite. And I would never say to folks like, you got to read John Carter Mars because by the 6th book, when his son comes in, you know, like I'm like, really it really pays. It's really hitting. I'm like, you're either into it from that first book or but I read the whole book and I've read a couple of different fantasy things, and fantasy is a tougher one for me to get into, but we have enjoyed Willow. Right. And I'm almost even on the verge of like, maybe I might read that Willow book that I was telling you guys about. You know, right. I'm just always kind of more drawn to, I always read Star Trek books and Star Wars books and things that are already kind of media tie-in into the world that I'm already into. Yeah. And then Wheel of Time came along and I tried it knowing how beloved it was. And I was like, maybe this will be once I actually got familiar with it and watched the entire first season. And Rosamund Pike is amazing. She's great in the show. By the end of it, I was like, I don't know. And some of the things I kind of like felt where I'm like, I don't know about this character, guys. People were saying, yeah, but that character by like book 6, totally different. And I'm like,
and I don't doubt it
for sure. Yeah. Right. But I don't know if I want to commit. I'd rather go back and give Dune another shot because I read the first Dune book and I was like, it's good. It's all right. Not my thing. Then I watched the movie and I was really like, I think I like this a lot. Yeah. A lot. Love the movie, so let me maybe give the book another shot and then maybe read those Dune books. Now that I kind of have like the movie world floating around in my head, I'm like, okay, I think I can. Helps you
visualize it too.
Yes. And I'm like, I think I get what this is. The David Lynch movie did not help me like Dune.
That was odd.
It's odd.
That was an odd movie. Yes.
So, you know, but I don't ever want to yuck somebody's yum.
No, absolutely not. And absolutely not.
I like that we did Lord of the Rings of Power because it's like, it's fantasy. Yeah. We haven't really done that and hasn't really been shows like that, but I will go back and say we have talked about other fantasy shows. I don't want to name any in case we change our mind.
Why'd you lean in so heavily into me?
Earlier you were saying, you're like, you listed a show and you were like, and you're like, I don't know when we're going to have time for it. But I'm like, we've got some other stuff, some other season oneers that I think we're going to try next year that are fantasy, which is very exciting, but it might not be Wheel of Time. But straight up, if Wheel of Time, look, we're going to eventually get to Game of Thrones. I saw the first season of Game of Thrones, the original series. Didn't like it.
Same here.
But I'm going to give the new one a shot. It's a new thing. If Wheel of Time season 2 comes out and just crushes and everyone's like, show of the year. It's phenomenal. I would be like, okay.
What if they said better than Andor? Better than Andor.
Then I'd be like, okay, maybe we should actually try it out and get on board or whatever. But I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I feel like I'm defending because I feel it was such a lovely comment.
I feel like we should go answer another question just to end it on a good.
Because I went like because
I feel like we just crushed Lori's dreams.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, I got one for you.
Who was it?
That was Lori.
Lori. Where is it?
Lori, right there.
Here.
Yeah.
Lori, thank you so much for everything. We're gonna try to do better. We're gonna try to be better.
Oh my God.
We're gonna try to keep that going.
All right. Here's one that no one can fail at from Esmond Chong. What's up, guys? Happy holidays from up here in Canada.
Here's what I think about Canada. I think I'm kidding.
Y'all need more Mexicans.
Y'all
need more Mexicans
north of the border. You know what I'm saying?
Given that we're all diving deep into the holiday season, I wanted to ask, what's on each of your perfect Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner plates?
That's a good idea.
Mine's turkey, sage, and sausage stuffing, mashed potatoes, a rich gravy, my aunt's recipe for a corn casserole, pan-fried pierogies with caramelized onions and bacon, and homemade deep-fried wontons.
Damn, son.
Happy to continue supporting you guys into 2023. Thanks for always putting out amazing and thought-provoking content.
We're going to your house, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
What's on your Thanksgiving Christmas plate?
That's
your
it.
food, bro.
What else do you want,
That
bro?
sounds good.
Well, I mean, mine's Mexican. Like,
Yeah.
we growing up, my parents are immigrants. Thanksgiving was not a thing. They did Thanksgiving because they had the day off.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, same.
Right. And so like they were just like, this is what the white people do. Let's do it.
Okay.
But also they brought their own stuff. So it's tamales, pozole, like champurrado, like all that stuff that we have all the time, right? Like every celebration we have all this
Salivating
stuff.
over here.
I know, dude. I'm hungry. I should probably
A little bit.
We should get some tacos after this.
We need to.
Oh my gosh.
Orale.
Straight up.
Tacos? Guac talks?
What's it?
Guac talks?
Guac talks? Where's the nearest guac talk in walking distance? In walking distance.
Walking distance
here?
Walking distance.
I need some talks.
I need some
my
guac
God.
talks.
Walking distance.
Oh
I
my
need some
God.
guac talks for Thanksgiving. No. So mine is just like all that traditional like Mexican food. But I will say I have changed people's minds who hate turkey with my turkey.
Smoked?
Like I know how to make such a damn good turkey.
You baste it.
So I have a Salvadorian friend.
baste it?
Yeah. No basting.
Oh,
no basting.
No basting.
No, you ruined the turkey by
No
basting.
baste?
No basting.
And no baste.
So
No baste.
I have a buddy, Salvadorian. They have a traditional turkey sandwich that they make. No basting.
Uh-huh.
They have a traditional turkey sandwich that they make at the holiday
Oh my
time.
God.
So Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas.
Cranberry sauce in there?
No, it's like a Salvadorian. It's a Salvadorian meal. All right, so it's almost like I don't know,
Yeah,
like a club sandwich, but like with turkey.
Describe it to me.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I like it.
You cook the turkey for hours. But so he's been eating turkey his whole life, right? Because it's part of their culture, their tradition. They do that. I let him try my turkey. He was like, I've never had a turkey this delicious in my life before.
What?
Yeah. And so y'all.
Dang, dude, we're gonna have to answer another question because you just dissed all of El Salvador right now.
I did. I make turkey better than anybody in El Salvador. So sorry, guys. But mine is Mexican. What's your guys's?
For Thanksgiving, and I wasn't alive, so I don't know why we didn't add anything Czech into Thanksgiving. I don't know. But yeah, we for the longest time we just did the typical, turkey gravy mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Actually, my grandma would make her potato salad.
How was the bird though? Did you guys cook the bird? Was the bird dry? I know a lot of people hate turkey because of that. Like,
Did you baste
no.
how much basting did you do?
It was the base.
it?
No, I mean, it was always good. I always enjoyed it.
Okay.
I can't remember. I honestly cannot recall whether or not we did ham for Thanksgiving also, because we don't do it for Christmas. We do it for New Year though. But yeah, I think over the years we've added a lot more sides to our Thanksgiving dinners. So a lot of like just like Brussels sprouts and just all kinds of shit. So much stuff. It's ridiculous. It's unnecessary sometimes. And then for Christmas we do the traditional Czech Christmas where it's the bread.
Whoa! We're not doing
Yes,
Christmas
that's what I
yet.
asked.
Oh, did you do Christmas?
Thanksgiving or Christmas.
okay.
Anyway.
Thanksgiving, bro.
We're gonna
do Christmas next episode.
We can answer
do
Esmond's
Christmas
question
next episode.
again.
We'll answer the second part next time.
Yeah, next time.
And then we'll answer
your question
Lori's
next time.
follow-up question of like, why'd you say that shit? Really pissed
Lori
me
hates
off.
us. I need a refund on my own Patreon.
Please. I unsubscribed to Patreon. I told everybody you guys suck. You're toxic bad fans. My number one is just mashed potatoes.
Ooh,
I can eat mashed potatoes
just
like
by the bucket.
You're a starchy boy, Hector. You love your bread.
Unhealthy.
No, that's not necessarily unhealthy.
Mashed potatoes with a little bit of gravy in there.
Yeah. No gravy.
You don't baste it.
I don't baste it.
Describe your perfect mashed potato though. Is it fluffy?
Golden,
is it creamy? Is
not
it
creamy?
Oh, okay.
It is
fluffy.
fluff.
Do you
Golden.
like when there's still like some potato chunks in there?
I don't hate it.
Okay,
but I
so
don't
you'll eat it with
seek
potato chunks.
I like it whipped.
Do you like just whipped?
Yeah.
Golden, buttery. Do you like any like seasoning?
Not too
salt
buttery.
and pepper?
Not even too seasoned.
Oh,
just the potato itself.
You just like mostly the texture?
Yeah. And the taste.
You're going to be a very successful 90-year-old.
And I don't even mind if peas roll in there and get in there. You know, I'm going to be a great 90-year-old.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know why I just thought of this. Have you guys ever seen Look Who's Talking, the movies?
Yeah.
There's like a scene where the little kid feeds his grandpa mashed potatoes and it's just a fucking mess. And I was just like, that's Hector.
That's going to be me.
Hector, yeah.
I'll let a kid feed me.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing.
Is there a number two thing?
No, I feel like I can't have an opinion because I feel bad because I don't contribute at all. So I'm the person
it's
at
not
Thanksgiving.
about contributing.
I know, but I'm like
I didn't either for 30-something years.
Yeah.
I'm grateful and happy to be like, you're handing me a plate. What's on it? I'll eat it. Thank you so much. I'm just in the living room watching movies all day, and then I get a Thanksgiving.
There's a video I
plate.
saw online where a dude was like, "Y'all are nasty." He's like, y'all are nasty. He's like, y'all invite people over and you can't cook Thanksgiving dinner. You don't know how to cook. It's like, y'all making everybody in the house doo doo. Like, what's going on? Y'all nasty. That turkey was underdone.
Oh my god!
It's like y'all nasty.
Oh my god!
So like, you can criticize the cook when it's bad.
Okay,
like,
all right.
I'm not saying that anybody who cooks for you like is a bad cook because Abby is the best baker.
She's very good. She's very good. Great cook. But okay.
But you got to have like a second, like a second thing.
Do you guys see
what
that?
What is this thing?
Do you guys see that Freddie Prinze Jr. thing that's going viral? No. He was on The Talk, and people were like, "Freddie, what's your secret to success for like a long and happy marriage?" Because he's been married to Sarah Michelle Gellar for so many years, and he said honestly, he goes, my number one piece of advice is cook, and he goes, and I can cook. And he goes, learn how to cook, fellas, and marry a woman who doesn't know how to cook. And I'm like, that's great. And then he goes, and then he's like, oh, also I clean. And people in the audience are just like, oh my god,
it's so
losing their shit. I can't believe it. And he goes, and people are applauding him. And he goes, well, now you're gonna hate me. He goes, I just do that. I cook and clean so that I don't get more in trouble when I go and play video games and do my own thing or whatever. But
smart guy, transactional, he knows it.
Yeah, transactional. Yeah, love is transactional.
Let's go out on this video so that nobody. I'm just gonna play the audio for you guys. This video of this guy.
Please. You gonna connect your phone?
No. I'll just do it over here.
Okay.
I'll just do it over here.
I want to
hear. It's got
it.
Bluetooth built in, baby.
It's all right.
Okay.
If this is okay.
You nasty. Stop inviting people over for Thanksgiving dinner when you know you can't cook. Stuffing. Dry. Greens. Salty. Turkey, way underdone. Making everybody boo-boo all over the damn house. Boo-boo. Stop inviting people over for Thanksgiving dinner when you know you can't cook. Murderer.
Murderer. Oh my god. That was amazing.
Don't murder anybody for Thanksgiving.
You got it.
That was amazing. Of course, let us know what's on your Thanksgiving plate this week. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you're just having a regular dinner. What are you having this week? What have you eaten? Let us know.
Unless it's boo-boo. Don't tell us if it's boo-boo.
Yeah, don't make boo-boo. Don't make boo-boo over this.
Murder. I'm ready to go get some tacos. So we should get some tacos. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the amazing questions. We try to get through as many as we can. There are so many. We can't say thank you guys enough for all of your contributions to Patreon, YouTube. Let's get to 100,000 subscribers. We're so damn close. Lots of reactions coming. Be on the lookout, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Murderers. Murderers.